following podcast contains possibly triggering material and strong language. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the Ride the Rebellion podcast and Craft Show Digital. The material and information presented here is for general information and entertainment purposes only.
Two hours on somebody else's podcast.
That's true. What's up? Welcome to the Ride the Rebellion podcast, the podcast where I am tired, and with me today, as always, is Misrepresentation.
But Mr.
Representation.
Missed
her representation.
Oh, jeez.
Dale Boyd of I can't tell if my eyes are blurry, if I'm out of focus. It's too late now. Dale Boyd of Dale Boyd Sports Management and other logistics.
Yeah, I got some stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I got it.
I got some things. Recently, Dale had the runs on somebody else's podcast. I've been waiting to say, I almost said that, commented to your mom, be like, yeah, your son has the runs.
The runs of my mouth.
And I didn't do it. So what was it like being on another podcast?
It was actually really cool. And I didn't, at one point I was like, wait, this is like a regurgitation, cliff noted version of our podcast for 3 years. Like, I've just told the same stories, a lot of what I've talked about on here. But
were they consistently the same though?
Yeah, okay. I think so. I mean,
that's pretty good.
They were more running based, so it was cool. And I thank you, Allison, if you're listening. I really appreciate it. It was cool to sit down in this opposite seat and get interviewed. It was different.
What's the name for running your story?
It's called Run Your Story Podcast. Yeah.
Run Your Story Podcast. It popped up pretty quick when I looked for it earlier. I was curious because so Dale shows up. They record on a Friday. I see Dale Sunday. He was like, dude, no, it's Friday afternoon.
It's Friday afternoon.
And he's like, dude, I don't know. I was on there for 2 hours. And I was like, there's no way. He's like, she says she has an editor. I'm like, oh, they're definitely cutting it down. They did not cut it down. It's a 2 hour. But I did look. The person right in front of you, I think it was
that was two people.
That was two people.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did the work of two people with a 2 hour podcast about shoes.
Well, I had talked about my running story. I talked about our podcast. I talked about the bike community. I talked about running community. I talked about beating some of my friends at running that are good runners. I talked about some different stuff. It was a cool conversation. I even asked her a couple questions, so she got interviewed a little bit, but what she's doing for the community is really cool. I mean, it's essentially what we're doing.
No, it's awesome.
But for the running community. And I even say on there, running's not my passion, y'all. Like, I just do it to stay in shape for biking. And I tell everybody about it. So if you listen to it, it's pretty funny. It's my ego just spewed onto a microphone for 3 hours.
I'm sure somebody will go listen to it. And
somebody.
Sometimes Tony makes fun of me from my other podcast because I say things like that where it's like, I didn't mean to sound insultory.
Right.
I meant like someone somewhere, not just one person, but he's so literal that he'll just be like, you literally said one person.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't. It's a figurative somebody.
And I mean, I've insulted our own listeners by saying like, thanks for the 7 listeners we've got. So,
yeah.
Hey, whatever.
I mean, I think that's more of an insult on us.
I know, but the 7 listeners might take offense. Like, dang.
It'd be more offensive if we were like, we need all 7 listeners' pronouns.
I think we might have a little hard time with some of those guys and gals and people.
While we're on running,
for
a second, I would like to go ahead and call it. Does the running community do like call outs? Do you call out somebody in the running community?
Yeah, if you want to.
All right, good. Emily, calling you out. I expect you to do the Barkley next year.
Oh God.
Straight up. I'm looking into the camera. Emily probably won't hear this. I'm going to clip this.
Yeah, we could clip it.
We're going to clip it. We're going to send it to your page. Emily, it's only 100 miles. You can do it. I just need you to go up there so that then we have an excuse to go up there and then follow you on a bike because no one said you couldn't.
Yeah.
And Dale's a good enough rider. He could free ride some of that garbage. Mm-hmm. If you're walking down it, Dale could probably ride down some of it.
Yeah.
We walk a lot.
Walk the rebellion.
I'm just saying, we go film the Barkley. Emily competing in the Barkley. Thank you, Emily, for signing up and doing it.
We'll pay your entry fee. If there is an entry fee, I know it's like a lottery, but
yeah, you got to get lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But we may have to
Actually,
spin some things.
Even at like the Barclays is amazing. It's kind of like right up the Rebellion alley, right?
Oh,
Like,
100%.
but if Emily wants to do a crazy race, I think it'd be awesome if we like pay for her entry and show up and like support.
Yeah,
Like,
as long
be-
as
be
support
crew.
also equals we get to film it.
Yeah, we'll film
Yeah,
it.
I want the story.
Yeah, the story will be awesome.
Although there's a great doc out there. There's a guy, and I thought it was whatever his name, Eric, whatever that guy's name was that has single tracks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. There's a YouTube channel out there called Single Track that is not at all about mountain biking or bike related. It's only about running. However, the documentaries this guy is producing are phenomenally good, like legitimately interesting.
Uh-huh.
So one of them was on Barkley. Well, I didn't realize the first woman to ever win was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, to complete it.
But if you, not win, sorry,
Mhm.
complete it. But they have a clip from 2015 where that big fat guy, Giuseppe, whatever his name is walking up the hill and he's like, no woman's ever going to compete it. No one can beat it.
Yeah.
Women are inferior to men. He says all this stuff and he's like, now, as soon as one does it, there's evidence that I'm wrong. But until that point, women are not as good as men or something.
Mhm.
Just really like in today's culture, super inflammatory. But the next, that clip is in there. And then you see the documentary of this woman doing it.
That's pretty awesome.
Dude, it's so phenomenally well made. Better than any mountain bike doc. I sent you one to watch, mountain bike documentary,
Mm-hmm.
only because I thought it was so poorly made.
which you have every right to critique, by the way. I do not.
Yeah, no, you do.
Okay.
You've
well,
done enough.
I was actually thinking about that yesterday. I was watching something that was actually I came across something on my feed that I saw somebody was like, "Oh, I've gotten into the media game. Like I'm doing all these interviews. I've done 20 interviews today." And I'm like just looking at the lighting and I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the way we would have lit it, but all the lights are in the front, sir.
They did weird stuff. Yeah. They did weird stuff where they would cut mid sentence, but you would hear like a
Oh, wow.
it was odd. Like it was, but for being a specialized film,
Probably what
the
this
trail
podcast
story was
sounds like.
good.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit. So I don't remember seeing a lot of videos in the past. This is not a Ric Flair moment for us.
Mhm.
I don't remember seeing a lot of videos in the past that were stories about the trail. It was
Yeah.
always about a rider. It was always about a person. It was always that. This, it introduces you to the person whose dream this was.
Mhm.
But these guys added a trail through the U.S. Forestry Service called the Hard Line. Apparently brutal. It's like a bunch of rock roll type craziness. And they say it's potentially the hardest line in Sedona now. Up there, I guess. What's the cliff is up there too.
Yeah, I don't know much
Yeah,
about
whatever.
west of Mississippi.
So, they got it through the Forestry Service. So it's now a nationally protected mountain bike trail. And they brought in these two dudes that were just two idiot. It was insert Dale and Drew, Dale and Pat, two idiots together.
Oh, God,
Dale's a
yeah.
common denominator. But these guys just donated their time to build the trails for free. And that stuff was interesting. It just was like, to me, where I'm going with this is like, we started doing these things on telling the story of the trail.
Mhm.
I still think trail origin is way more interesting. A trail tale is way more interesting to me than a rider,
Mhm.
because think of thousands of people potentially ride a trail versus, or if it's a rogue trail, that's interesting too, versus like one person riding a trail.
Yeah,
It's like-
I was thinking about that. Drew and I talked about this last week about reintroducing, doing some trail tale stuff, and it's similar. Like, so when you go ride a public place, somebody always wants to tell you about who cut that trail
That's true.
or who built that trail, and
Shout out
maybe
to Scotty.
yeah, maybe yeah,
Scotty cut a lot of trails.
Yeah.
We were there when he was doing it.
maybe people, the story gets diluted throughout time, and it might be not real, or the lore,
Right.
like it's always that this trail was actually cut the other direction, so it's
Yeah.
there's always like stories about the trail being cut. And your other podcast is documenting your childhood and your adolescence, and like, so there will be like actual documentation of it, so somebody could go back after you're gone and watch it and listen to it and be like, this is what it is. I think what we started at the Reb with those trail tales is something, because the Reb's not always going to be there. Sorry guys, it's not. It's just facts.
Yeah, it's facts.
I think that someday, like, it'll be cool to go back, like we're old conjures or whatever that word is. Is it conjures? We were going to conjure some spirits.
Codgers.
Same thing. Misrepresented, dude.
Mr. Representation.
So we're going to go back and watch those and be like, damn, remember when we built that? Or the
Yeah.
emotion will
Yeah,
pop back up. And it's like, that to me, we should probably do it. We should probably focus on doing that this year. I know you're not busy at all, but
No, but I mean, I think it's no. Listen, I can't talk about what I'm filming. You've experienced some of it. I would right now, if you called me, you might get a free commercial right now. If you call right now, because I'm so desperate for something creative, for the love of God. Everything else in this sentence is redacted. Going forward, I redacted. Can't talk about redacted. Anything about the location, which is redacted.
It's got a lot of black lines.
There's a lot of, no more lines. So ironically, yeah, see? Anyway, so yeah, it's interesting because I thought about this like in terms of like, it's not just mountain biking content, whether it's those running podcasts or anything. It just seems like this. So there's a couple things that are interesting that I thought was relevant to this. And I'm curious if our audience will answer this in a chat somewhere. It'll maybe be nice enough. A stat came out that 50% of all YouTube videos are watched on televisions. I want you to think about that. 50%, when the number, it's staggering the amount of minutes per day that's being uploaded, per second and all that stuff. But 50%, that's the new, because they can track the IP address. 50% of all YouTube videos are watched on television, which means people are looking for more interesting content. I don't think the statement, this isn't a marketing podcast, obviously, but I don't think the statement of just making, it's like, POV bike videos, boring as fudge now. Not interested. I'm done. Like, unless I'm going to ride that trail and I need to understand maybe what I'm getting into, I might use that for a little recce, but I don't care what I don't. And I used to love BXKC. I like that guy. I think he's fun. And Lone Ranger. And I don't want to watch that crap anymore. I want something more interesting, but it's the same way with running. I don't care about running, but that Barkley video is so good that it's a rabbit hole, right? Or if we're talking about, I don't even care if it's like, I sent Dale a documentary that I have watched multiple episodes about Columbus because I'm tired of the conversation about Columbus style pizza. I watched the whole thing about Columbus style Ohio, and that's a legit thing. I never knew.
Ohio pizza is the real deal.
No, it's not Ohio. It's Columbus style.
Well, Columbus, Ohio.
I learned.
It kind of ventures out.
Well, it does, but
I'll take it.
You get the weird.
Columbus is legit, though.
It's legit.
Yeah.
See, so my point is,
I'm
like,
an elitist when it comes to pizza.
You're
Deletist. I don't know what
you're a deletist.
Yeah, big back.
Anyway, I just think it's kind of interesting now that, even this podcast, chances are that some people have it on their TV, their phone, whatever. If they're watching on the YouTube side, we don't know how it goes. I guess my point is, like, I think content needs to get better. I think mountain bike films, and let's just call them hobby films. I think hobby films need to be treated with respect and make something more interesting. And my point is, this audience is from all over the world and has the opportunity. You probably have it doesn't have to be the most best perfect film. If it's a good story about a trail, tell it. No offense, Chase, but like most likely which is the one that Fox sponsored? Tails is probably okay story-wise.
Yeah.
But Storyteller is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, that story is the stuff Chase is doing at Tannehill. Fantastically good story. The stuff, that new line, the new high ridge crap, the gravity stuff, also probably fantastic. The stuff that's maybe not as interesting in some ways, I don't care if a government built it, not as interesting. Integrating with the government, yes, which there's some interest in that. I'm just using Chase because Oak Mountain's exploding, guys, if you didn't know that about, and not just for mountain biking, for running too. It's trail running, it's everywhere, but interesting. I just think finding more interesting ways of telling stories, and anybody here can do that.
We're literally, you guys, we have no topic. We sat down, Drew worked all day. He was tired. We're just talking.
Exhausted.
So I literally thought of this while you were doing that. So an interesting thing that Allison and I talked about on her podcast is like valuing the volunteers that do these events. Like, to document like a volunteer's morning, like people have documented race runners and like how they prepare for a race, but to document like how a volunteer gets ready for a race would be pretty sweet. Like, follow them from the morning. They're waking up, they're getting ready. They have a routine. They've got to get there early. They've got to stay. They got to hype
Jerry
it up.
Seinfeld, that whole episode.
Yeah. But you gotta hype it up. You've got to prepare. You got to make a plan. Yeah. It's very similar. You're just not physically going to do the same things. But I think that the volunteer side of it is very important.
I think so too. No,
did we lose it?
No,
I did. No. So that got cut from the podcast, her podcast, because I'm so used to watching the red dot and stuff that like at one point a screen shut down, and I was like, "Oh my god, did we lose it?" She's like, "No."
No, but I think that's another one that's interesting to me. I think like the challenges inside of any of sort of hobby that anybody chases and pursues is keeping it relevant. And we've talked about this a lot. And so you end up watching content. And I remember and look, all of it is I actually am going to get to a point with all of this, but all of it is all of it's like an addiction in some ways, in the sense of when you first do something, when it's me and Pat popping in a Rogue 6 mil wintergreen pouch, right? We both get a little nicotine buzz. And then over time, if you have enough of those, that nicotine buzz fades. And then pretty soon, if you're Pat, you've got 12 in your mouth at one time, or whatever he does. But my point is like, because you're, even with dopamine, even with the excitement of what, after time, the videos and the content, other things get old. And so you look for something new. My point is like that constant chase is always going to be there. But instead, maybe if we created more interesting content that has a little more relevancy, it wouldn't just be like looking for the next same thing, but instead of looking for the new thing, I think from a hobby side, it would be beneficial. It's an incremental shift as opposed to trying to just overnight.
Right.
And that instant demand, like instead just start changing the temperature of what we're thinking about, the stories we're telling, what we're talking about. We don't talk about tech shit. We just don't.
Right. No.
Neither one of us. I mean, Dale knows way more than me. I was arguing with him about stump
anything.
jumpers a second ago. I don't know.
I don't
And
know.
really, if I'm going to be real cold and bold, I just don't care.
Yeah. I don't really know either. People are like, what kind of spokes you got? I'm like, I don't know. They spin,
Yeah.
I think.
Straight ones.
Jody, what kind of spokes do I have?
Yeah.
That's what my next call is always like, Jody.
Yeah.
At Build Tune Ride, can you help me?
That said, there would be right now, there's a tremendous network of people that want to talk about bike parts. So somebody make a show about bike parts. If you suddenly did bike parts, nothing but bike parts, you would have 100% an audience, right? Same way with running tech. There's somebody that is just obsessed with the tech of shoes and all the changes. His name is Aaron.
Yeah. Well, actually, Run Your Story has a blogger that's testing shoes and writing blogs about them.
There you go.
So there's connected.
Yeah. And I think Single Track has some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Escape Collective may even have
Ride the
some.
Rebellion does not. We do not.
No, we have
We
zero.
have no. The only thing you're going to get is our opinion, and it really only matters because we are the ones with the microphones.
But that's the content.
Yeah, right.
Right.
It's true.
I just think it's that. I guess my point is everything being incremental was. I was thinking about this the other day. I had somebody mention. I've had a couple remarks about my personal journey on fitness, and it goes back to something we talked about with Emily, and it goes back to anything that we're trying to do, whether it's building a trail, whether it's hitting some jumps. I was thinking about Carrie hitting that gap, right? And then she skipped the first two, but maybe she'll come back for those, build the confidence. It's the same way of like the progression, any of that kind of stuff. We talk about getting better. If you think about it, a lot of times I think that the real challenge that most people face is the fact that we've created this instant gratification side. And I think if we start, and we've talked about this before, but I'm just going to reiterate the point. I think setting a goal that's realistic and achievable is going to benefit you way more. And just knowing from the gate, the best goals typically are ones that take the longest because they're realistic. You can actually accomplish it. We talked about like weight loss stuff. Like you've obviously done very well in your weight loss, but it was not an overnight. You had a hurry up. You had some from a little bit of keto, maybe just, and diarrhea that maybe just helped you.
Yeah.
I had a kidney stone that knocked mine way down, but like,
I think the problem with goal setting and is content, because people see all these things that other people are doing and their goals become what other people's already at. And it's like, make your goals make your content about you. Don't make it about like, and I don't mean make content. I mean like your life is content.
Yeah.
Make that content about what you want to succeed or like what your goal is, and who cares about other people. That's what, to me, like, I know we all get caught up in it. Like it's, if you're competitive at all.
Yeah.
But I think if you're on the bike or if you're running or if you're going to work, like make the goal something you can achieve. If not, you're just going to get discouraged and not want to do it or try it. Like the jump things, like if it's a jump that you're scared of, overcome that fear. Don't worry about what other people are doing. They're going to do
or find other jumps that are less, or create one.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Which
To
is the
help
same
you.
way. Right. But the other side of that coin is like, don't be the cadre of people who are just like, yeah, well, if you can't do it, you suck. You're not elite.
Yeah.
What is it? L337.
I don't know what that means.
That's gamer speak.
Oh, I don't know. Well, my son calls them sweats, right?
Yeah. Sweats are like
People that
really
are too good that
Yeah.
act like they're bad.
Yeah. Because they're sweaty.
I don't even know what that means.
my understanding of it is that it's like a fat dude sitting in his mom's basement, just playing so much he's just sweaty and gross because he's just always
The
grinding.
dude
on
that's at Golden Corral, just beads of wet sweat dropping down. Yeah. That's sweat.
I think we need to go to a Golden Corral. We should take the show on the road once and just do a portion of a podcast from Golden Corral.
I mean, I don't hate it. I eat wherever. They have salads.
No, you got to eat. You got to eat the meats.
You got to dip your salad in the chocolate fountain.
Bro, that is like a 90s rap album by Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Dip your salad in the
chocolate God. And I want to know all 7 of our listeners that have that, they know the title and they just said it to themselves.
Yes, they did. They
know the title of that Limp Bizkit album.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting bit of like just looking at all kinds of stuff. Like I set goals a lot. Like I set goals at work. I set goals riding. I do other things. The stuff that I don't care about doesn't necessarily mean that I don't care about it and you're wrong for it. Like I could care less about my Strava time. Don't care. Just don't. I could care less about how fast. I think about it whenever I ride like a really basic public trail. Mm-hmm. How many people have ridden that trail in a circle, bored out of their mind, but they're just doing it so they can. And I get it. They have a personal drive. Like, I want to show that I beat my own time. I'm not knocking that. It's not something I care about. To me, it's more a matter of like, did I come away from that feeling good about it? Did I just trick myself into riding 25 miles? Yes, I did. Thank you, Joe Rogan, or whatever. I think so I think it's like really defining your goal and not like you were saying, your content and not somebody else's, and don't be derivative. Just be yourself. In the world of AI, be yourself.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we compare ourselves to everyone else so much, especially now in the social media age. Like in high school, we only compared ourselves to our peers in the hallways. And then, we got the internet and we got social media. And then all of a sudden our comparisons to everyone. Now we think like legitimately people that are on our social network think that they're comparable to like Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton and like that level of, because they can put their pictures in the same line. I mean, like when we were growing up, celebrities were so unachievable. Like that was a different realm than us. Yeah. Now they can be in the same realm. And it's like, okay, used a filter.
Well, I mean, it's the same way with
they use filters.
Back in the 90s, you had the option of you'd have a list, the list that you were allowed to, the cheat list, right? Dude, my cheat list is real short now because the internet has shown me there are some women that are not celebrities at all that are so attractive. They're probably AI.
Yeah.
Can you sleep with a pixel?
I mean, it's safer. Just turn it off. Been looking for that easy button for a long time. Shh. Next week on Ride the Rebellion, Dale gets divorced.
Yeah. Oh, we'll bring Casey on and just let it be.
I asked her today, actually, when I was leaving. She's like, "Who you guys interviewing?" I was like, "Nobody. You want to go?" She's like, "No, I wasn't volunteering." So
I think we'll get her.
She said, "Yeah." She said she can't do it without Sarah. Casey's gonna have to too.
Tequila is what's gonna happen.
Ooh.
And maybe if we're lucky, Sarah gets so drunk she projectile vomits. That's what I'm going for.
And then
I want total destruction of my wife's
our content goes through the roof. Wow. Yeah. That was awesome.
Well, I mean, you never know.
Hey, actually, my mom commented too on something today and said, "Wow, every podcast I learned something else about you." So I commented, I was like, "Do you want to come on and like write all the stories?" And she said, "I don't think that'd be fair."
I saw that, and it's like a long time ago. I don't remember what it was, but I was complaining on social media about somebody running a red light or people just drive. And my mom said some remark about like, well, you should probably slow down. And my buddy, and whatever it was like really awkward. Yeah. And it was like my mommy's getting on to me kind of thing. And then my buddy doesn't say a word. He just liked her statement. And it was the only like there. And I went and saw it and it said Stephen Grimes. I was like, what a piece of garbage. I knew that he was trolling me with nothing. Mm-hmm. So when your mom gets one like, it's me.
Yeah. Well,
I love your mom. She's delightful.
Yeah. Pat replied. So.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Slippery slope.
Yeah. That's danger. Yeah. We have no agenda for the show. That was, I've climbed a lot of stairs and I'm exhausted. So
we've got a lot working though. I've been working a lot behind the scenes on some stuff. Yeah. So we have races coming up.
Yep.
We have places we're going to be coming up.
We should probably do a couple of things. One, we should probably talk about the fact that we have sponsored a ladies thing.
Yep.
Because we're all about the ladies.
I know. That's what I was doing earlier, trying to pull it up on my phone to.
He's trying to pull it up on his phone
to get some accurate
I thought you
dates.
were pulling up Would You Rather.
Well, that too.
We played that on this show. That's a Jank Fest only conversation.
Let me go to it real quick.
Yeah. So while you do that, so we have a couple events. One, this one he's going to talk about.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's a really awesome event coming up May the 4th at Toby's Place. That's not Toby's Place, Boca Chico.
So what should we call it? It'd be funny.
Well, you got Jared's Place and Toby's Place.
Yeah.
Kind of fun. I don't know what's public. Is it public what they're doing to the trails? It's got to be, right?
I don't. We should bring Toby on, have him talk about it.
Yeah.
Very
They're
corporate.
changing the trails. They're doing
Yeah.
some. They're doing
Just some of
innova-
them. Just the Cortez coaster.
Yeah, but that's gonna be wicked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what they're doing is really
He's posted pictures, videos, so
Has he?
it's probably
cool
public.
with the rocky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically paving them.
Yeah, making them very accessible to everyone.
It's
which
really
will
cool
be
what they're
sweet.
doing.
It'd be a giant long pump track. is
I
what
think
it's gonna
that's
be.
when they're launching it.
Yeah.
Is on May the 4th.
Yep.
Toby, if we just spoiled stuff, you can call our complaint department, which is what's your number? 937.
Yeah, just go ahead and throw her out there.
Is it 937?
Yeah, that's the area code. Jeez.
Boom! I'm a gangster. The Red Podcast Network, baby.
It's coming to a podcast area near you. That's not a joke.
And we'll just leave it at that.
So
Event.
the event, yeah, we're getting there. The Louisiana area Single Track Sisters are doing an event at Bogue Chitto as well. We decided we wanted to sponsor because I made a post about this, about Jody's event, and we'll get to that too. But if there's something you believe in, you need to stand behind that belief. Like whether you volunteer and you help, or you volunteer money because you can't help, or something like that. Like if people are doing something that you think that you should, that you want to survive and you want them to be successful, you help them.
Right.
Make sure that there's anything you can do to help them. And this is something we believe in. We've talked about it many times on this podcast, creepily and not creepily, about how to get women into cycling. We are not the guys.
I thought you were going to say how to get women in the woods.
Yeah, I was, but I reverted.
Oh, you did good.
I was trying
because we
good.
know confirmed that your mom listens to every episode.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've talked about it extensively to women, with women, and we've tried to, like, how do we help get women in the woods? Well, these girls are doing it, and they're doing it. It's big, like they're getting big stuff. So, April 25th and 26th, they're going to have a bike event. It's called Rise and Ride. It's Women's Bike Day, and they got. I'll just read from their flyer. It's empowering female riders to grow the mountain bike community. Get your brand in front of passionate cyclists. Oh, this is an ad for the sponsors, but
Whoops.
nonetheless. It's a bike event, Rise and Ride, April 25th and 26th. If you're a woman and you want to check it out, please don't hesitate. It's not going to be Drew and I.
There will not be. We won't be there.
There may be men there, and I think that the way they do it is really, really smart, because there was a time in college I talked to Jennifer about this, and Jennifer and Joe came and stayed, and it was great having them. But Jennifer and I were talking about this, and when I was in college, sports marketing, I took a sports marketing class, and the WNBA, when they first started, were struggling with crowds. Like they had a hard time getting people to come to games. Well, I wrote a paper on the reason. One of my thoughts was, and now it's actually been researched and that information's come out, that when the WNBA came out, they were only marketing to women. Like that was their whole thing. Like, let's market to women. Well, societally, women don't take kids to sporting events. Men do. So like, they switched their marketing to let's market to men, and now they're getting more and more people.
Right.
So it's that to me. So what they're trying to do with the ladies, I said, listen, don't just try to exclude men, include them somehow. So what they've done is, and not because of me, but they've already started doing it, but the women will go off, the men will go off, and then they'll reconverge. It's like a mixer, a sorority mixer or something at the end. And that's the way you got to do it.
Sounds very delightfully Jewish.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
You got to separate the synagogues. You go to the Wailing Wall.
It's less intimidating for the women,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they can do their own thing, and it's not their husbands that ride over their shoulder, or their boyfriends, or the guy they like, or the girl they like. It's not weird. That weirdness can happen afterwards in the parking lot, not on the trail.
Or in the woods.
The trails are sacred. They have a
Yeah.
tail.
Yeah.
And not that kind of tail.
That's right. Hey.
So yeah, we support them, and we stand behind them, and we believe
It's a cool
we
event. I
believe
think
in
it's again, Carrie's does some of that stuff.
Yeah, Carrie and
Jennifer does that stuff.
There's a large group.
Jennifer's more or less a Red member without necessarily. I mean,
She sacrificed as much as some Reb members
yeah, that's
at
true.
the Reb,
That's true.
and didn't cry about it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so
No. Yeah, so that event, and then we also have like Jody's Crazy Race, and he threw some swerve balls in on the prizes that since last we've done anything, that's kind of wild. It's a
Mhm.
lot of money. A
A
lot.
lot. Yeah.
Go ahead. What is it?
Yeah. So this race is the Glitter Duster, and the Glitter Duster is unique to Jody's Place. It's an endurance race. So there'll be an e-bike division and a regular bike division, and you'll be in age groups. So you don't have to race a 25-year-old if you're 60. Don't worry about that. There's age groups, and the winner of each age group will get put into a drawing in e-bike class and regular bike class, and they're giving away 2 bikes. They're giving away an e-bike and a regular bike.
Do you get to pick? Because I think it would be better if the e-bike winners had to get an Amish
Yeah,
bike and the Amish winners got an
I
e-bike.
recommended that, but I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do the actual winners of it, but I know that I think there's. Don't quote me. I think there's 8 age groups, so you'll have a 1 in 8 chance if you win that age. You have to go compete and you have to win your age group. But say you show up and there's only 2 people in your age group, or 1. You signed up, you paid, you rode it, you finished, you get a chance to win a bike, and that's pretty sweet. So the way the race is going to work
There's going to be a bunch of 80-year-olds now.
I know.
I'm 80.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll survive. So the way that this is going to work, it isn't. I had this question today. Somebody messaged me. And they were like, "Well, is it only a 15-mile race or is it an endurance race?" I said it's both, because it is for regular bikes. It is 3 laps on a 5-mile loop, and it's 1,200 feet of climbing per lap.
Yeah,
so
legit.
If you think that 15 miles is easy, come try these 15, and I think that you're probably going to be surprised. We hope so. Skyway sadly got canceled, and we hope some of those riders that were trained and ready for Skyway will pop over. That'll be sweet to see some serious dudes trying to rip this course. He's got prizes for the person that does the fastest lap. So if you want to just go try to be crazy and blow it out, then go for it. The e-bike class, however, though, has to do 6 laps, and the curious thing of that is going to be like who can conserve their battery, who can make that work. So it'll be like a NASCAR race, like.
I said the same to you. I think
awesome.
that's a really cool idea.
Heck yeah.
I think the idea of like, are extenders allowed or not? Is it have to be in bike battery? And then if you literally had a pit crew that could get your bike up, drop the battery out, and plug a new one in, that is wicked.
Yeah, I don't know how that all shakes out. I'm sure that's a pre-race meeting thing for him, but. I'm excited about it. I've helped with some of the planning of it. We're a sponsor of that as well. And the Glitter Duster thing, some people have asked that too, like, what in the world? It doesn't make any sense. It does make sense because the dust and dirt up there glows. It glitters. It's got mica in it. And it's like
Formica.
Is it Formica or
I don't
mica?
know. That might be termites.
I don't know, because we said at one point we're going to put on the flyer, you mica make it, you mica not.
Oh, maybe that's it.
I don't know. So that's Formosan with termites, by the way, not Formica. This is the totally wrong podcast.
You got not curmudgeon. You got something else wrong, and I got Formosa Formica.
Oh yeah, I said conjuring. We're conjuring things, Drew.
Yeah, we're conjuring up some stupidity. Is what's happening.
So yeah, we are, and that's May 10th. So May 10th.
Yeah, that's a busy chunk of time, folks.
Yeah, and it's coming up. He kind of put it together really quickly, and then Skyway being canceled. There's one last thing we hope to. We're trying to finalize the things with this. The Cogs guys, Billy Bean and Perry, and those guys that run Silla Ward, where Skyway is held, they are great dudes, and they pour their whole spirit and everything into the trails at Silla Ward, and people forget about them and the trails. I don't think that avid cyclists forget about them, but those dudes are amazing guys, and what they do for cycling in their area is amazing. Well, Cog's main fundraiser was Skyway. Well, I reached out to Jody and Billy, and I thought it'd be great to do a raffle and try to give them some of the money back that they lost. So at that event, we hope to have a raffle for them, and that'll benefit Cogs, and we'll try to make some money for Billy Beano.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's content. Like we talked about, like that's pushing it forward to do something awesome. So I think it's a good idea. That's a busy chunk of time going into nuclear hot summer.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then in June we got Bump and Grind.
Right.
So the next couple months, if you invite me somewhere, you better either want me to be angry while I'm there or just learn.
Well,
I'll say no.
We need 2 bottles of lukewarm water.
Yeah, Dasani and green M&Ms.
And green M&Ms and a table and 2 chairs.
Yeah, wherever we show up.
That's the rules. So, Toby, if you're listening and you expect us, Jody, the ladies of Lass, and most importantly, Chase at Bump and Grind, we know that we're the hottest commodity
In a region. If there's another, if there's another one, I like. They can step
Hey,
up.
you know what? You can get the other podcast. Go ahead.
The other mountain bike.
Get those guys.
Podcast.
Get those guys that talk about, well, listen, the 32 tooth sprocket has much better capacity for climbing hills than the 30. Why would you want to go so slow? I just don't understand. Also, I have a silver fork.
Is that what's that podcast called? No, they don't get any free shout outs.
I almost said something bad, but
Yeah, it's Pink Bike.
oh yeah, it's Pink Bike.
We can call them
Stink
out. It's
bike.
been years in the making.
Yeah. Anything else we need to touch on?
I don't know. I mean, it's so busy. Like we tried another week to get a guest, and that was on me. I probably dropped the ball at some point, but it's happened so fast. Got a lot going on. He's been busy. I've been kind of busy dealing with family things.
Dale worked some, but this job was
Yeah, it's draining, Drew.
it was dishonest to take Dale.
Yeah,
Or Patty. Like I didn't need anybody.
Yeah,
it turns out it just needed to be.
I
It was a solo
recognized it.
ride. I just
Yeah.
needed a solo ride.
I recognized it early. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
you don't really need me.
Well, I can't do anything. We literally are not allowed to do anything, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, we're gonna work on a trail tale. I think the one I want to work on is a trail in progress, and I have a reason why I want to do it that way. Just because I think there's a moment that happened this past weekend. I had left on Sunday, Dirt Church. Joe and Jennifer were in town. Jennifer's not riding because she donated her shoulder bones to the Reb, and
And her whole teaching year.
and her career.
Yeah.
But there's a new line, and we'll show that. I think that'll be the trail tale. But there's this beautiful social media video that I get sent, and it's of Carrie just pedaling in and hitting this jump, and there's like a whole group of people cheering her on. It's like a moment. It's more a matter of like knowing Carrie and knowing some of her challenges of jumping and overcoming stuff, and in terms of like bike progress. To see her do it and get it, like the last time I saw her lose her mind, I thought she wrecked when she hit Bug Rug the first time. Like the scream
Yeah, the
sounded
scream.
either orgasmic or deathly, maybe the same. But it was one, and so getting to see that video, and I think that trail is a good representation of it, which is totally different than anything else at the Reb. Really, it doesn't make sense that it even exists, but I think that's why we need to talk about it. But it's just one of those things of like, again, seeing that Carrie video inspired me to be like, man, we got to tell that story first while it's fresh, even though it's not done. I think that's what makes it better.
Well, we have interviews.
Yeah.
Of the people that helped and the people that
Well, I don't know. We got to get Pat on camera.
we can blur his face or something.
Do you think he'll be as awkward as Jake with that machete?
No, you know what we should do? Pat he won't face the camera. We just interview him. It's just the back of him. Like,
oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because that seems more,
into the woods.
yeah, it seems more real. Or you never see his face. He's just talking with his hands, like looking at things and like showing stuff.
Yeah. We'll put him behind a tree the entire time, so his face is always obscured by some wood.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Or like on the other side of a jump, you can just hear him talking, but see his feet moving or something.
It's something
That
dumb.
seems cool. We're actually going to do some stuff out there couple weeks.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that's happening. We say this, I mean, I feel like a broken record with these episodes that we put out when we're kind of both tired or both busy.
Yeah.
But it's such a hard, like, I was talking to Allison about this. She puts an interview out every single week.
Yeah, it's beastly.
And that's a lot. It's a lot of work. And I commend her for that. And if you guys get a chance, please check out Run Your Story podcast. And even if you don't run, there's some inspiration there behind some of these people. Like the first question is, what's your running story? Like, why did you start running? And just hearing that, it could change the word to running to biking and just go listen
Or
to
anything.
it. Yeah. Or anything. Yeah. For that matter. And what she does in the community is pretty awesome. Like she's busy. She is at every single event, group running event. And she's hosts or like promotes races and does a lot of stuff. So, Allison, shout out. We commend you because we know how much work it takes. And sometimes people don't thank you enough.
Yeah.
So.
I also would like to just say, shout out to our first and only sponsor, even though he doesn't know that's how we get sponsors. We don't tell them they're sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I got to give a shout out to our new sponsor, Cheeseburger Randy's.
Oh yeah.
Dale hasn't been there yet.
I want to.
We're going to host a podcast. I'm doing a podcast there.
Yeah.
We're going to interview him there. That guy's a fascinating human being. And all he was like is, I just think I should make a simple cheeseburger. And he did. And he was like, it just needs to have a window There's nothing. It's the most simplistic. It's kind of like a perfect trail. Someone didn't overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't pretend to be something they're not. This guy just made a straight up, made it on my list.
That's
and
awesome.
it's
Yeah.
coveted. My list is legit.
My family knows your list, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Like Casey said, it made it on Drew's list, and I was in the bedroom. I wasn't even in there. Ron goes, "Where's it at? We got to go."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Geez, running, you big bag."
Yeah, it's legit. I had to wait in line. Like the whole process is worth it. He didn't have like adult beverages by any means, but it was still like the energy is like being in a rowdy bar without the worry of alcohol infused fights.
But just
out.
for cheeseburgers.
But just for cheeseburgers.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Cheeseburger Randy's, if you're down here or you're cutting through, you're on your way to Gulf Shores, if you're traveling, Dale's mom, if you come down again and you're like, I need a cheeseburger on your way to Gulf Shores, then it's in Foley and it's in downtown Foley. And it's actually, I'd never seen that street and it's really charming. It's very Fairhope without Pat's arrogance.
Hey, you know what's great about this? Somebody said something. Pat made a comment or asked a question that we answered on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I think it was Justin, like, look at this guy asking a question as if he actually listens to the podcast.
Right. That's exactly right. That's why we can make those.
So we can make fun of Pat.
The two people that are guaranteed to be made fun of, there's three. One is the Todd because,
he sets himself up for
he's
it.
just the guy. He can take it. Jakey
Yeah,
Poo,
Jakey
because
Poo.
he doesn't even listen to anything but. And you guys think this is a joke?
Actually, we should just put the tag on here that this was 1996 remastered,
Oh,
so he
yeah.
might actually play.
Oh, he
it.
could. He only listens to music before 95.
95, my bad.
95 and before. He will not listen to anything after 19. So he's missing entire catalogs of Clutch that he
Mhm.
doesn't even. He just refuses. And then you have Pat, I think Pat actually listens to the show. He just at this point can't admit it.
Yeah, and Pat's way smarter than we give him credit for.
I don't know, Pat's. We learned some things this week.
Yeah, we did.
We learned some things about the Todd.
Yeah.
The Todd is arguably one of the smartest men I've ever met. I think Pat is on that list of extremely smart and just plays really dumb. I think Pat is.
I think we all do. We go out there. And
no,
it's
I'm
like,
straight dumb.
We all can sit in that circle, and it's just like cavemen. Hey, God, like dick joke, hitting the head, dick joke.
That is very true. That is
And then
absolute.
Yeah, it's 100% what it is.
Yeah.
It's like that,
Even Toby's done it.
yeah, everybody. It's
Toby
like
did not tell dick jokes.
No.
Toby does not use the
Disclaimer,
word dick.
no.
He says penis.
No, I think that is what's great about those conversations, like our F&L conversations. You never know. Like the other night, I was coming home, and Casey's like, "What'd you guys do?" I was like, "Nothing. We just hung out." She's like, "What'd you talk about?" I was like, "I don't even know." Like, I get in my car, and everything we talked about goes away.
Yeah.
Like either I don't want to continue the conversation because it was inside. We helped each other through a situation where
Sure.
not talked about, or it was we were talking about how UFOs could really just come down and anal probe us at the top of the reb, and that could be a trail name, anal probe. Like that is how it translates. And then Todd's like, "I'm out of beer," and then all of a sudden that goes into another thing.
And then
So-
you find out what Todd does for a living. You're like, how does that guy who talks about anal probes so much?
well, and now we're good enough friends that like we tee each other up for conversation.
Oh,
Like we
100%.
know Jakey Poo, like after a couple IPAs, is ready for the UFO
100%.
conversation,
Yeah.
and we'll be like, "Oh my God, what was that, Jake? Did you see that? It went across the sky." And then all of a sudden it's something he read this week or listened to, and we're down a wormhole.
Yeah.
And an hour later, I'm like,
Jake listens to 1995 and above and physics podcasts.
I feel like and he might throw some NPR in there or something.
Oh, yeah, he definitely. And if he farts, he's like, I do not smell that at all. This is going to be the first episode he ever listens
I know.
to. We just trashed the crap out of him. We love you.
We love
the
those
poo.
guys. Yeah, we love those guys. They keep us going. And a lot of times honestly, if we could have a podcast of those conversations, it would be viral. And you
And-
listen to one. I don't know what that one is I listened to with you once or twice in the car.
Oh, no, that's Bad Friends.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar.
Oh, dude.
Those
Bad
guys are
Friends.
way worse.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's similar.
Some
of the conversations we have.
Yeah, I don't think we do a lot of like he can get away with it, I guess, because his best friend is Korean. It's Bobby Lee.
Yeah.
But the amount of like Chinese voiced,
Yeah. Justin does that.
I don't know if Justin's allowed to.
He brings pizza. He can do whatever he wants.
No, that's fair. There you go, folks. You can be a racist if you bring pizza, and that's how I'm going to end the episode. Anything else?
No, I think I'm probably forgetting something, but we're going to be so busy.
I'm going to title the episode "You Can Be Racist If You Bring Pizza." I bet that would get some views.
only if you do this.
Nope.
The
I didn't even
outro.
have you on camera because
Good,
I'm not
that's
even going to
good.
risk it.
That is good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, just remember what Dead Boy says. No, I'm good.
I'm good.